The first item on the agenda tonight, Casey Yurkovich and the Mills Group or Mills Properties Group is here to talk to you guys about a piece of property at the southwest corner of Technology and Hinkey. They wanted to kind of go over just a concept for that property. They're a multifamily developer. Casey or Adam, could you let Casey share his screen? I believe he has a couple pictures he wants to show us.
Problem, done.
And then Casey, take it away if you want to introduce your group. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, he's still muted.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Now we can. Yes.
Don't hear ya.
I think he's trying to get his thing booted up there.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Hey, they got me, Casey. All right, we're gonna switch seats.
Telephone just popped in my screen.
Yeah, I see it too.
Okay.
You want an email? Yeah. You got your email pulled up? All right. Hey, we're better builders of multifamily than apparently we are of Zoom. Appreciate that, by the way. Our administrator is actually suffering from COVID right now, so we're testing our skills. I just sent it to you. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Open it up. Let me just drive, if you don't mind. All right, I'll sit right there. Okay, if you could allow Jim Eisenhart to share, if you have group sharing on, I can do this.
All right.
So while we are pulling this up, by the way, and I do appreciate that, I will introduce the team. So you've got, I'm Casey Yurkovich. I'm the moderator of this afternoon. With me is Jim Eisenhart, who's off screen, and Stephen Schott. They're my partners at Aligned Equity Group. So you'll hear Aligned Equity Group. You'll also hear Mills Property, which is who we are. I'm going to start my screen here. All right.
Can I ask a question while you're getting ready?
Please do.
Mr. Mills, are you part of the group that did the Mills development down on Hempseth Road and Arena Parkway in St. Charles? Whoop.
Kirk. There we go. Kirk, they can't hear you either. He would be.
Sorry,
That would
Dan,
be. Yeah, there you go.
We're right there at Page and Arena Parkway. Yeah, it's called the Boulders at Katy Trail.
Well, many years ago, when I was still a director of the road board, it was right after I left, actually. We finally finished Hempseth Road because of the work that we did with the Mills Company on their development there to get that road through to Arena Parkway. So I know it's a few years late, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I remember that. It was, when we found that ground, it was the Page wasn't even there. And we were hoping it would go there.
Well, that's a good development.
Thank you.
Well, hey, Gary, by the way, I appreciate you stepping in and letting me have that time, by the way, to gather my thoughts here. So thanks for that. We're ready now. So we're live. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So With your permission, I think we know we had limited time. Some of it we used to get on, but we prepared a little 7-screen slide or 7-screen kind of our who, what, when, where slideshow. And if we could just go through that real quick, we'll roll out the project, introduce who we are, and then we'll be able to take any questions at the end, if that's all right with everybody there. Okay, perfect. So I think I introduced the group with us with Aligned Equity Group. Kirk Mills is the president and CEO of Mills Property. You're going to hear Mills in this presentation because that's who the market knows as the owner and operator of this. But we're all owners together. We've all invested together, and this is another venture of our team. So jumping in here about Mills Property. So just so you know who they are, for those of you that don't, there's roughly 9,000 units of that Mills currently owns and operates in St. Louis. It makes them the largest operator and owner of apartments in St. Louis. The second largest group, has roughly 7,000 units, and most of those are third-party managed. So we say that because we want folks to know that we take a controlling interest in our properties. We tend to own them for a long time. Many we've owned for over 15 years. 95% of the business we do is here in St. Louis. So people know us. And, if things go right, you can come to our house and tell us. And if things go wrong, you don't have to jump on a plane to find us. So we're here, and we just want everybody to know that. And it's also, there's no subsidized housing in our portfolio. I know that's a question that comes up a lot when it comes to multifamily, and none of ours is that. We picked Lake St. Louis just because we really love the demographics in the market. There's a wonderful commercial base. This particular site at 317 Feisey Drive has just got great highway access. There's a lot of retail around it. So currently, I think, and I don't know if you have your new master plan out yet or if it's about to be adopted, but it's highway commercial. I think you've got it designated as C2 on the new plan, but we abut. It looks like, I can't tell from the color, it's either R5 or R6, which would allow for multifamily. So we're right up against it. So we know this would be a planned development in order to make this happen. There again, the subject property, you can see exactly where it sits north of 64 and north of 364 where it comes together. The proposed project, again, we've got some photos on here that are just, these photos you're seeing, since this is a work session, this isn't meant to say, here's what we're building. This is just pictures of what we built before. The closest one that you might point to that you might be familiar with, at least to this site, would be the Boulders at Katy Trail, which are located right at Upper Bottom Road and 364 on the north side of the road there. Those are 20 years old. So what we're proposing here will be much newer, nicer, amenities wise, et cetera, but it'll be nice. The community itself will be over $40 million to build. I guess that's, and this site, by the way, I should back up. This was the site that you recently approved for self-storage. Right. So we have it under contract from that group now. Okay. So to connect it. So it'd be 240 units, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, 420 parking spaces, 3-story garden style. Again, no subsidized rent. And we would expect, this is based on what we've seen in others, the average income of residents or our community residents will be roughly 75 to 95,000. So it'll be it'll attract a working professional type renter. We have a site plan. I don't know how this shows up on your screen, but I think what we'd like to do here is maybe I'll slow down here for just a moment to kind of walk you through how this orients on the site and what we're proposing for this site. So if you can see the cursor over here on the right side of your screen, that's our entry. So that's on the east side of the property. And what we're proposing here is you drive in right here. You've got an oversized clubhouse here that's roughly 5,000 feet. That's almost double the size of any clubhouse you'll see at any property out in Lake St. Louis right now. It'll be a real nice space. It'll have a wonderful facade, very welcoming to folks that come in. We'll have a nice pool behind it with an outdoor fire pit, and again, giving residents an outdoor feel. And as you drive around the perimeter of the site, you can see that these are all the units all around the perimeter. One thing that we did sneak in here, just because the lay of the land and how water wants to drain, we can't make it go uphill, but we can find a pond right in the middle of it here. We'll put a nice fountain in. That feature will be visible from the road. So we'll have a nice pond feature. And then in the center, there'll be a nice courtyard with pickleball courts and a pavilion and things like that. Again, just, and I'm going to come back to this because if you have questions, it might be more around this. But just to give you a couple ideas or the finishes of what we have, our pavilion that we have in one of our other facilities looks like this, real nice structure for folks to meet and gather. You kind of carry this theme throughout the community itself. And then again, just some pictures of other communities that are like kind, that are in the market, but older, may look like this in the design element. So I know I went pretty quick there, but I was trying to make up for lost time when we gathered on, or when we were trying to get on here. So Kirk, is there anything that you might like to add that maybe I didn't touch on there?
No, Casey, I think you did a really good job. I think, the pool, the clubhouse and the pool will be really impressive. It will be, I've seen almost every property in Lake St. Louis, and it will be the most impressive pool and clubhouse in Lake St. Louis. You really just want to wow people. That fitness center will be, one of the biggest in the market. You'll have a kind of a lounge area where it's kind of got like a Starbucks feel where people can, there are a lot of people, more people will be working from home, can hang out there, grab a coffee, do a Zoom call for work, and get to know their neighbors. The pond will be not like a white riprap kind of edge. It'll be a really nice Versalock edge. It'll have a constant, work to have a constant level. So it looks like a pond. Not, sometimes you see ponds, they drain. They look kind of, not very good. The dog parks will have filtration systems under them. There'll be natural, artificial turf. That way they always look good, because a lot of times dog parks get muddy and just don't look very good. We kind of always go overboard on landscaping. Love trees, big ones especially. Anybody that wants to talk landscaping, you'll be speaking my language, because, I just really, really love that piece of the puzzle. And the finishes, they'll be really nice. They'll have black splashes, nickel poles, stainless steel appliances. We might even go a step above stainless steel. I'm not sure. We got to think about it. Countertops will be quartz or granite. I mean, this will be a really, really nice property.
This is a lot better than a self-storage facility, let me tell you.
Thank you.
That's what we wanted to hear. Yes.
What would be the monthly rent for each of these?
Just
one
gonna
and
ask
two?
that.
Oh man, the monthly rent's gonna be about $1,400 to $1,500 a month.
It's pretty nice for me, huh?
And I've seen the development at Boulders at Katy Ridge, or Katy, what is it? Boulders at, what is it called?
Katy Trail.
Katy Trail.
Katy Trail. Anyway, I've seen it. You said it's 20 years old, and it looks really nice.
Well, the thing is we really, we build our stuff to last. I hate, these properties all become like family members to me. I get really attached to them, and when we build it, it will be really good construction. You'll see a lot of other people build their stuff, and you'll hear somebody brushing their teeth in the bathroom next to them, and we make sure that's never the case. I really think through all the parking, make sure the parking at the right pace or place. I build it as if I was going to live here, and since we hold on to this stuff for the most part, and I don't like getting not nice phone calls, we build it to last. And since we hold on to our stuff, I mean, we really don't usually hear from people. And we do, to build this, we get the people that are actually going to be leasing this and be running it, Dan. We get them into the design meetings with us, the people that, and the maintenance guys. These are the guys that, where are you putting the HVAC closet? Where are you going to put the utility or the fuse box and things like that? And we really do get all the pieces of the puzzle in the room to design it, so that you get the eyes of the renter, and at the same time you get the eyes of the maintenance guy, and at the same time you get the eye of the marketing person sitting in the office. We really want to do a good job and try not to miss anything. And we learn something on every single project and try to carry that forward as we move ahead on the different projects. But I will say, we've looked around at a lot of pieces of ground. We really, really like Lake St. Louis. So I don't know what you guys are doing in Lake St. Louis, but you're doing a lot of good things, because I've looked at a lot of different things, looked at a lot of different economic drivers and where things come together and where people want to live. And it's kind of ground zero. I got to tell you, I was really impressed when my team came back to me and started just putting in front of me Lake St. Louis. I was not, I wasn't expecting Lake St. Louis, but that's what they keep coming back with.
Thank you.
No,
for that.
we've been looking for developments like this, and this is the second meeting in a row that we've been presented with a quality apartment complex with amenities. And I guess patience is a virtue, and hopefully, I think most of the board members here are probably pleased by this. One question I have is that I know you have to go through permits and get your preliminary plans together, go through planning and zoning, et cetera. Well, what is your projection as to when you would like to start construction?
Tomorrow. Here's the thing. For apartment guys like me, we're in a race against interest rates. It just, and they're not going to go down. It is an absolute race against interest rates. And the faster I can get this thing built and leased up, the less, $40 million. Look, I've done a lot of these things and I feel very confident in this, but that's a big number. And every one of these things comes with risk. As interest rates goes up, it just increases risk. And so it would be ASAP. You're in a race against time. Look, I feel very confident getting this thing done, and it's not like I got to start tomorrow, but if you gave me an opportunity to, I would absolutely do it, because interest rates going up only takes my risk up.
I got a question for Lewis. Lewis, does this need to be rezoned from C2?
Yes, it would require rezoning if the new zoning map is approved. This would be zone C2 initially, so they would need to rezone to R5 and possibly a PUD if they need some reduction in density or setbacks or other standards.
Well, it looks like a quality, that is, like Gary said, this is 2 in a row, really nice things that are coming our way. That's what we like for this city. What do you guys need from us after this? I think I haven't heard anything to the negative, so I think we're all pretty happy with what we see right now.
I've got a bad speaker on my laptop, so I didn't hear all of what you said, John, but I guess one question I have to Lewis is, I don't want to do a, knee-jerk reaction here, but since we're about to we've been working for several months on the new code ordinance. Is this track something that we can put this type of zoning that he needs in it to begin with right now?
It's a good question, Gary.
We have to amend.
Why make him go through, why make him go through a rezoning when this really makes a lot of sense?
We're going to have to amend the bill that's on the table right now.
We got some other amendments we're gonna have to do anyway. Is it feasible, Lewis?
That's something that the board has the discretion to revise. So yeah, I think that's something if you want us to incorporate, we can make that revision.
Well, that would be part of Bill.
Guys, we will bend over backwards and move heaven and earth to help you guys help us in any way possible.
To save you from having to go through all those extra steps.
Yeah, we could save you a month or two if we do it this way, I think.
Well,
Just keep in mind, even if it is zoned R5, it may still require rezoning to a PUD, depending on the density and whether or not it meets those dimensional standards. It will also require a special use permit. That's a requirement we added on during our discussions about multifamily, and the board decided if a project had more than 150 units, it would require a special use permit. So regardless of the zoning, it will have to go through at least a special use permit.
And the land to the right of it, adjacent to it that's zoned R5, right? Or we're gonna zone it R5?
Already is.
Yeah,
What direction?
yeah, right there. Because we had a,
To this side or
okay, I'm
Oh, to the
thinking,
north.
I thought we had like, there was a commercial and then there was like residential and then commercial again, which is this piece. So I was just saying, I know we have some residential in that corner somewhere. Ready.
Yeah, I believe the tract to the north of this is zoned, or will be zoned R5.
Yep.
And I think what you've given us is the encouragement to move forward with our design and formally get in. So George, I can give you a call tomorrow and we can start whatever process we need to start to get this in the works for whatever it needs to be. If we have to actually go through the formal special use permit and PUD process, then we can start that right away.
Yep.
And I think the outside start date with that, if we speed everything along, still gets us into ground this summer. Yeah. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Lewis and I can give you a call tomorrow, or we can find a time to get on the phone.
Hey, listen, I hope my presentation goes down at the start of every work session meeting if this is the outcome. So it only got better from there. We set the bar low and tried to clear it. So thank you for your time. Are there any other questions for us? We know we had 15 minutes and I feel like we've overstated our welcome, but are there any other questions for us that we can answer?
Just a quick one, and I don't know on the average, how full are your complexes that you currently have? What's the occupancy?
We got, if you take downtown St. Louis out of it, we are 94% occupied. We downtown St. Louis, I've got 1,000 units down there, and it is just, it's not had a very good pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Good question, Kathy. I was going to ask that.
Hey, sounds good.
Yep.
Well, thank you all very much. We're very excited, and we will put our track shoes on, that's for sure.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
All right, the next item on the agenda is in regards to commercial property that is currently for sale at Lake Boulevard and Ben Oak Cutoff. Joe Moran is requested to talk to you about that property. Is Joe on right now? I don't think he is.
I think he wants to talk, but I think he's coming on in the business meeting, on the comments. I think.
All right.
I can, I've talked to him about this. Joe is he did the villas over in Villa Drive, and he's a Lake St. Louis resident. And he just threw this out there to me. He says he really is interested in buying this tract and wants to build on it. But kind of wants some feedback similar to what we just did about what can be there and what can't be there. And I told him we would discuss it a little bit and see what the board feels about it. I'm pretty sure, and Lewis can correct me, I think I know that apartments can't go there without a rezoning. But he told me, he said he's so interested, he will do whatever we want there. He's got a lot of ideas in mind, and he wants to get kind of a feel of what we would like to see in that particular 8.16 acres there on Bento Cutoff. Even as far as putting an entrance onto Bento Cutoff, so it's not coming directly off of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. So he says he would do just about anything. He's looking for a little guidance, and I think probably the last time I talked to him, I think he said that he was going to be able to get on a 7 o'clock meeting under public comments, but I'm not real sure about that.
How many units is he talking about here?
He really didn't have any units. He talked to me also, and he mentioned apartments and townhomes, what I thought the board would like. one thing I mentioned, but he doesn't build anything this large, is I mentioned a hotel. We would love to have a real hotel in Lake St. Louis. And, but he said that was just something he wouldn't be building. That's not something he normally builds, so.
I don't think that site would be good for a hotel though, Kathy.
Well, this,
How would that be any different than that other site that's over there off of the current hotel? I mean, that's what we've talked about before, if that was ever to be replaced. I mean, this you'd still be able to see it from the highway if it was tall enough, which I'm sure it would be.
well, this will in the
There's
new.
gonna be a lot of concern if this is something like apartments, because this is within the CA boundaries. And so you're going to, all you board members are going to have a lot of opposition.
Well,
I can guarantee it. If it's,
He's not necessarily, he can't put apartments there right now anyway. It's in the.
no. He had mentioned townhomes or something like that. And I think he said with the topography, somewhat limited to the number because of kind of with the hillside there.
Well, it's in the Uptown Overlay
But-
District right now, which has a cap of 150 units, but it's it's no longer gonna be in the overlay district with the new proposed zoning, so,
Right. But it still is in the CA.
yeah, right.
Well, that track's been there for a long time and I've always thinking it's an attractive site to be developed. So, you know,
So
I think we need to be open to see what he wants to do.
I do
Well,
too.
I mentioned one thing too, like I said, everybody would like to have, more restaurants. And he said, well, I could try to build something where it's, retail or something on the lower level and then apartments above it. Now, I don't know, even if he would do that, then you'd have to get somebody that would want to put a restaurant in there, which obviously right now that's not happening too much, but like John said, we told him, well, you really need to ask the rest of the board what they would like to see there. And I think that's key, or maybe what you don't want to see there. So.
Yeah, that'd be more important to see what you don't want to see there. Is probably-
Right, John. Mhm.
You're gonna get complaints about, I'm just telling you, you're gonna get complaints about the beauty of the, cutoff.
Oh, yeah.
About what was that, Mike?
It's like a drive through Vermont, the way people.
Oh, yeah.
It is nice.
Trust me, 2 or
It's
3
pretty.
times. There's been 2 or 3 proposals in that property.
Well, he should come back next meeting and tell us what he wants to do.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see that.
That's what he's looking for, a little guidance on how to proceed forward. So I guess we'll tell him to, what we discussed and then have him come on next meeting.
So John, is he trying to put maybe the same product he's doing on Villa Drive over there?
Not necessarily, no. He says he's not stuck to anything. He's willing to do whatever we think would be the best for that site. So he's open.
It's a nice site.
Mm-hmm.
Looks
Yes, it
nice the way it is too.
He's a small builder, so he's not gonna put anything big up there.
You're right. Yep.
And a great place to watch the fireworks. If you're not out on a boat.
Fireworks are illegal.
No, the CA fireworks.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't want to blow my hands off.
All right, you ready to move on to Boulevard Park Playground? So that
Yeah.
playground is 30 years old, and Darren is going to go over the replacement plans for a new playground here this summer. If Darren can figure it out. He looks confused.
Nope. I'm okay. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, George. Replacing the playground and fixing the hardscape seating area at Boulevard Park was a project that was identified by staff and the park board as a capital improvement project for this fiscal year. On the business meeting tonight is an ordinance requesting to enter a contract to purchase the equipment and perform the work. And this is just a quick presentation to show what that entails. This will be a really nice upgrade to the existing playground area, which, like George said, was installed in 1990. It's a bigger project than just the playground itself. It's a lot of concrete work, seating area, subgrade work. So the first slide shows you the existing play structure, the existing area. That entire area in orange and pink will be demolished. The existing concrete pads have all shifted and buckled, so it doesn't meet ADA requirement. And then we're going to change the entrance also to make it a little less of an incline to meet ADA compliance. And then this is what the area in blue there will be our new seating area, the new concrete pad that'll be poured. And then we'll curb off the rest and then include landscaping in the areas that we demolished there at the entrance. So this is just an overview. Again, it's just showing you everything that's going to be demolished and then the new seating. And then this is the new playground itself. So again, this is a big upgrade to what we had. We've been working with the designer for the past 6 months. This is the final product, if approved tonight. The concrete seating area will separate the two sections, with the smaller section on the right dedicated to the toddlers, the 2 to 5 year olds, and the larger section dedicated to the 5 to 12 year olds. The toddler section has a play structure with stairs and ladder and a rock climbing wall, decks, and then the double slide. And then you've got a spring seesaw, a climber. There's a little swivel seat, and then you've got your swings. And then the 5 to 12 year old section will have a double zip line, a bank of swings, a climbing tower with slide, 2 other structures, and then they're all connected with various play amenities. This is a reverse angle of the playground. The zip line and swings are placed on the perimeter of the playground with the structures in the middle that all flow together. The playground has a ton of unique features, including what's called the friendship swing. So that's a swing that allows 2 people to swing facing each other. And then here you can see how the middle all kind of flows together. You've got this climbing structure, a rope climbing structure with a slide, and then you've got monkey bars that lead to another structure with a climbing net that leads to the other structure that has the slides and more monkey bars. And then this is the interior view of it. Again, these deck heights are 72 inches. So the maximum fall height is 6 foot. And then the 2 net climbers lead to the platform with this little rock design area. The structure on the left has stairs that you can climb up. It's got the monkey bars, 2 slides to go down, and there's a rock climbing wall on the side. So the last slide shows the footprint with the safety zones for all the equipment. Also, again, gives you an idea of how the playground will flow together, how it connects and complements itself. Also included in the project are a couple benches that'll be placed around the perimeter. There'll be a hopscotch area in the concrete. We've ordered wear mats that will go underneath the slide exits and the swings themselves. And then if everything gets approved tonight, the project will begin approximately mid-March, and we should have it wrapped up early to mid-May, depending on weather, of course. So that's a quick overview of the proposed project. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
It looks fun.
Did you say hopscotch?
Hopscotch, yes, sir.
That's like 30 years. I've never seen a hopscotch, not for a while anyway.
Yeah.
But this
That's
is
for us old people.
What's that?
I said that's for us old people.
Right.
Right.
Break your hip, Mike.
And that was something the park board thought would be, fun because you don't see hopscotch a lot anymore. And we've got a big concrete area that will have the seating, some picnic tables. So we'll be able to fit hopscotch in there, no problem.
Good.
The ground's gonna be mulch or that foam rubber stuff?
It'll be mulch.
I see a lot of kids falling.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they will.
They will.
This is didn't the park board have this as a priority on their list?
They did, yes, sir.
And this is needed because if I'm not mistaken, I think I read that in the notes that this was original installation was in 1990.
1990, the structure itself is the same. We've replaced some pieces, obviously, over the years, but it's gotten to the point now where the existing structure, we can't find replacement slides that fit it. So it's if a slide breaks, we're replacing it with a panel. So we're losing play elements over there, and this will certainly change that.
Wasn't there a fire over there in 2000? Somebody set some of the equipment on fire.
Yeah, and it was if I recall correctly, it was a slide and something else that was damaged and replaced.
I remember that.
I know it well. My niece makes me take her over there every time she's here. So spent a lot of time in that park.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it looks fun. Looks like
Really
a lot of fun stuff.
So what's going to happen to the dragon or whatever that is?
All that equipment with liability issues and stuff, it will all be trashed.
Yeah, you're going to have to. Yeah. It's a shame, but you
It
have
is.
to do that.
Darren, I would think that the park board is really excited to have something after the last several months of being able to do nothing. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Good.
Great job, Darren.
Good
Okay,
job.
thank you.
Yeah.
Now, if you can
Good
keep
job
the
again on
kids
the park
quiet,
board.
so I don't have to hear them. So, thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a continuation of a discussion about potential city park at the Meadows. This was requested by a couple aldermen.
I can start the conversation by saying we ended the conversation about this. I don't know if it was last time or two meetings ago that the decision should be made by the new board. And after thinking about it for quite a while, I think that's a huge mistake with at least two new aldermen who have no knowledge of the project. I know where you're coming from, Mike, because you kind of brought this up, but I think we're just delaying a decision because we don't know exactly how to go forward. I think we should give George a shot at a renegotiated agreement because the agreement is no longer, as everybody knows, is no longer there. We need the first step to doing this would be a renegotiated agreement with a lot of things we got to tell Mr. Cohen about, especially about the CAM agreement, because we can't have one of those things in perpetuity. We go broke funding it to the tune of about 700,000. So, but we can't move forward. I don't know how everybody's thinking because not everybody spoke up last time about whether the new board should do it or we should do it. And Paul's question to us, his first item was, do you think we should move forward with a renegotiated agreement? And I think if I was making a call, that would be the thing I would do, just to see how, and this is beyond George's plate, to negotiate with Mr. Cohen. And sometimes he's easy to negotiate with, sometimes he's not. And he's not when it comes to money, but still, I think this park is going to be vital to the growth in the future of the Meadows Shopping Center. It's something I think we need with the water, and I wasn't too in tune with that before. I thought maybe we could spend that money somewhere else. But with the funds that we have right now in the surplus and the park sales tax funds, the people really expect us to do something with that. And we're not doing anything with it. And it's going to come up for renewal pretty soon with nothing to show for it. I think, and as a matter of fact, I think we can do this, and if we do it correctly, I think we can do this and the Archdiocese, the trails going down Arf Road. I think, if we put our heads together, I think we could do this.
John, I don't necessarily disagree with you about continue to move forward with the park. My only scare is we have 4 meetings left until
Right.
the new board would begin. And then if we start to put money towards that and they change their mind, that's my only worry, is if we start to put money into the development of this again, and then all of a sudden the new board says, I don't want to do this.
Well, these
How
two,
much,
the two
how
new
much can we do without knowing what the agreement's gonna be anyway?
The two new
Exactly.
members, hold on, the 2 new members aren't gonna know very much about this, and I don't think they're gonna have much to say about it.
But I agree with Gary Torlina. We should at least go back and see what he would negotiate with us to see if
Right.
it's even negotiable. If he's still wanting that original contract, he may as well give it up.
Right, if we can't, that's the key to the whole thing, and what I'm trying to tell everybody is that if it turns out that George can't renegotiate the contract so that, at least a limited CAM payment, so that he doesn't become rich because of us, then we have no choice but to drop it. But if we can renegotiate something, I think this is important to the shopping center over there, going forward in the future.
If Jason, and I say this to you as not official yet, but you're going to be the next mayor. And I would like to think you'd want some sort of structure, at least, or structure put together on some kind of agreement so that you just don't start the new folks out cold turkey. And of course, Tom's listening in, so he's not going to be cold turkey. And, I'd like John said, I think you can do both. You can really do both. The Archdiocese, we talked about George and I talked about the bike path, the walking trails. You can do that. That's not necessarily a big ticket item. So I think it's doable, but one of the things that this agreement has to have, John's touched on several, he talked about the CAM. But the other thing I'm very disappointed in Cohen is the fact that they don't have any on-site management of the meadows per se. They need to have an on-site manager there who is trying to get new tenants. And you can't do that from New York, not in the Midwest. And I would hope Myers learned that. And things are picking up. It's going to get better, but I would like to see George have a go at trying to come up with some kind of initial discussions, if nothing else.
Yeah,
and I'm sure, Jason, you can take care of it from there.
I don't disagree, but I think we should look at this as a way to negotiate a lot of things, getting a person here, the TDD, and then the park. I mean, I think there's some things we can definitely negotiate with, and
definitely that CAM payment. That was a surprise to all of us.
But I still think it's worth having that conversation with Mayor just to see where he stands. I know we kind of dropped it, and I don't think he was surprised, of course, with the pandemic going on, and nobody at that time knew what was going to happen. But I mean, I know I'm not going to still be on the board, but this was something that really got me excited and seemed to get a lot of other residents excited too, which I would think maybe for many of them more than the bike and hiking trails at this point. But because we are going to be opening a park up here in just a couple months with the hiking trails. So just my thoughts. I'd like to at least see what his mayor's feelings are on this, because as I said before, once he decides, if at least if he knows there's an interest there, but once that's gone, it's gone, and there's not going to be that opportunity to do anything in the meadows as far as the city having something there.
Like I said, we can't do anything until he has a chance to talk to Mayor Cohen anyway.
Right.
Well, I have no problem if George trying to reach an agreement. But at the same time, it's going to be so close by the time that gets done. And it's not going to be 2 weeks. I mean, it's going to be a couple months to get that thing done.
It took us a while to negotiate the original.
Oh, yeah. That other one we had, that took us
So I'm not saying, I think we got to give us enough time that the new people that come in can get acclimated quick.
Mhm.
Because you're not going to get an agreement done and signed by April 15th or whatever it is, 12th, or whatever it is. Make it
It's gonna
happen.
take a while, but at least we'll have something for them to consider.
I agree. I totally agree.
I think we're all in agreement on that. So,
Yeah.
George, have fun with that.
Go get him. Go get Mayor. Didn't you say, George, he was supposed to be in town, or was that somebody else? Was that
Teddy is supposed to be in town the next couple of weeks, so I can reach out to Mayor and maybe meet Teddy here and discuss this with him.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Mayor directly.
good?
I think we did kick around the idea of possibly phasing in the park as a way to kind of defer the costs over a longer period of time. You know, I believe, Darren, the steps that we're at right now with SWT is we have that preliminary design that all the parties have seen and we agreed to with Mr. Cohen. Then the next step was construction documents, and the cost of that, I mean, that's where we're really investing in the project as it was designed.
That's correct. I think the next step, the construction design was estimated at about 300,000 to do the construction documents.
Street is $4 million.
Yes, yeah.
We also talked about also cutting that down, right? The cost of this park, so we can maybe do both parks. That was a discussion topic as well.
Scale
And,
down.
you know, I think if we move forward with the park, one, we need to make sure that it's the features that we want. And if there's any changes to the features, we decide that obviously before we get into the construction documents. And two, when we start doing the construction documents, to have them give us phase options to see if it does make sense to build it, you know, over the course of a couple years. So yeah, all that stuff can be worked out during the construction document phase.
Okay with that.
Okay, George, you got it, man.
George has the ball.
I'm going to be busy here.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's good. I'm excited.
Me too.
All right. The next item is mid-year budget adjustment. Can you all see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right. So as we've discussed previously, when we budgeted this year, we assumed a worst case scenario with COVID. You know, we really had no idea what COVID would do to the budget this year. Expenses were slashed. We were expecting to come in with expenses over, $1.5 million more than revenue. And following up on the audit presentation from last week, we have a very healthy fund balance at this point. And in the past month, Renee has taken a look at the revenue picture for the rest of the fiscal year based off the trends so far that we've seen these past 7 months. And I have also met with department heads to go over items that were not included in the budget for this fiscal year, or items that were slashed significantly because, again, we were concerned that we weren't going to have enough money to pay for a lot of operational items. So Renee has gone through the revenue and is proposing making an adjustment, raising revenue from $9,050,000 to $11,719,000. The biggest increase is sales tax, which has outperformed even my wildest expectations over the past year. Our revenue is currently 6% over the 1920 budget, and it's trending to exceed years prior. It's supposed to come in around $5.5 million, which would be the largest sales tax that the city's collected. In November, we brought a budget adjustment to the board to add some things back into the budget that were slashed. Most notably, there was a $400,000 transfer from the general fund to the capital fund that was not made in the prior fiscal year. We pulled that back in early March as a way to add more money to the general fund, just again, because we were concerned about the amount of money we had in the budget at that time. We also approved $160,000 for 3 public works vehicles, $40,000 for snow and ice control. And then we also had a $70,000 for a retroactive 1.3 cost of living adjustment for employees. And lastly, we restored hours to some, but not all of the employees that were furloughed in March. We had several employees who were furloughed. They weren't working at all for several months. And then we brought some of them back, but some of them are still at a reduced hour schedule. So I'm proposing that we have a budget adjustment prepared for the next meeting to add the revenue projections that Renee has done, book that revenue in the budget, and then also increase expenses for a total of 1.2 million. And just going through some of those expenses, as you'll see, the audit presentation from last week or the last meeting, fund balance now is 5.8 million. Our original budget, we were expecting revenues of 9 million and expenses of 10.5. When you book that revenue back in, it's looking a lot healthier. On the expense side, annually we make a transfer from the general fund to the capital fund for streets at a total of $700,000. Typically what we do is split that up. The first transfer is made at the beginning of the fiscal year, and then after the audit, we get a better picture of what our fund balance is. We make that second transfer to have a total of $700,000. Our retirement sick leave account, we have a net liability there at this time. I think we're about $80,000 short of a $350,000 liability. We're recommending making a transfer there so that has a healthy fund balance. And then
Paul, I'm sorry, does that include Paul?
That did not include Paul, and I don't know the number for Paul off the top of my head, but that check will probably be
Pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last, the department requests, after talking with everybody, those total $429,000. So we're looking at having a fund balance at the end of the fiscal year of 5.5 million. To go through the revenue, if you all had a chance to take a look at that, I did cut out some of the rows where there weren't any changes recommended, but adding a significant amount of money back into the sales tax, notably, where is it? Building permit fees. The budget for the year was $314,000. We're currently at $329,000. So we're not recommending a significant change there. Building activity is still moving along at a steady clip. We issued 11 new single-family permits this month. It just keeps chugging along. Last year we had, I believe it was 200 single-family permits. So building activity is really not slowing down. When it comes to the expense side, I'll just go through this quickly by department. So for the administration departments, we have $13,000 to restore a part-time receptionist to her pre-COVID hours, which was 35 hours of pay period. She's currently at 20. And then we have a vacant afternoon part-time receptionist position. So that would get us reception staff all day, which would really alleviate the Parks Department. Since COVID has done a great job acting as receptionist for people coming through the building. But it really helps to have not only someone answering the phone, but someone near the door who can help guide people. We've had a whole lot of people needing to go to municipal court that end up at the other side of the building.
Yep.
There's also a transfer for training education staff. This was slashed almost entirely for our department. Paul and I we didn't attend any conferences or do any trainings, but I would like to send Sarah to an economic development training course that's put on the International Economic Development Council. That's going to happen in March next month. Keith Stone with Quiver River, and then a new EDC staff member are attending that as well. So I thought that'd be great if she could attend that with them and really pump up her bona fides for economic development. Other contracted services. Lewis, could you just quickly explain the E-Code 360 map link? This is something that we had been looking at adding for a period of time that we think will also help with economic development.
Yeah, this was budgeted for when we started the code update project. But this is a feature through our code publisher that will take our zoning information and create an interactive zoning map. So you can point and click any property in the city and it'll tell you the zoning districts. And then from there, you can go back to the development code and see the specific requirements for that, that specific zoning district. You can also search by type of use. So say you're a business owner, you want to see if a retail use is permitted, you can type that in and then it can filter out the zoning districts and the locations in the city where that would be permitted. So I think it's a really functional tool.
And I can tell you, when my office was next door, I would field a lot of phone calls from people who are interested in starting a business or bringing a business to Lake St. Louis. They weren't sure where they could go. A tool like this would really help them get a lot of information. And then furthermore, for community development, adding some money back into the training education to maintain their inspections for building inspection certifications. Lewis currently has a negative balance for legal notices and advertising. It's just the cost of doing business for his department. So that would restore that. For IT, our emergency management coordinator, over the past year, we learned there's a lot of positions that need to be able to just move with technology and work in different places. That is definitely a position that needs a laptop, especially if we ever had to send him to the EOC, the county EOC. He also has in $2,000 for the iPads for the board. So we will be replacing all of the tablets that are not iPads. This will help with getting your packets to you. And then phone system maintenance was an item that needed to be included in this year's budget. We just did not budget for it yet. Go ahead.
Before you move on, I think I spoke with you about adding back in some training for the elected officials. The only thing I'm thinking about specifically is we're going to have 2 new people, plus we're going to have to fill Jason's spot. So that's going to be 3 new people. And the MML puts out a really nice newly elected officials training in June. And I think that would be very beneficial. So I'd like to see at least add that back in if possible. Or is it something we'll take up on the next budget?
Yeah, that'll be in this fiscal year. I can see what the registration costs for that are. I'm not sure if that's local, Karen. So
it's in Jefferson City, but I think it's just a day trip.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right, Karen. I don't think it's overnight.
No, it's not. Just the one in February and the other one in September. The one in September is going to be in St. Louis.
Okay. So I can cost that out and put that back in there. Public Works, there's a whole list of things here. Dues and subscriptions, the cost of CDLs, the testing for our street maintenance workers, make sure their licenses are up to date, and training new employees. It's funny, I was talking to Derek about this with small tools. We had 2 things that broke just that morning. So a hammer drill and a generator both failed. Traffic signs, $2,000. We were going to have in the budget for an LED stop sign at Green Tree Elementary. $25,000 for concrete work. I believe that was slashed by 1/3. And Derek's team has been able to get a lot of concrete work done this winter so far, because it's been relatively dry, minus that snowstorm we had last week. Adding some money back in for training for the Public Works Conference. It's here in St. Louis this year, so it's a great opportunity to send some staff so we don't have to pay for, travel out of state, get our guys some additional training and also look at some of the latest and greatest equipment. Street striping was cut by 1/3. There's just a whole bunch of things here that were significantly reduced. City Hall, $40,000 in HVAC controls that were really out of date from the day the building was opened. So just things like these over the long term will help us reduce costs. I believe all we have here. Going on to police, training education. Chief, do you want to just briefly go over our training protocols for, just the litany of things that our officers need to be trained for, how we send our guys to train the training so that they're able to come back and keep our department up to speed on training?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we have several things that we have to recertify in every year, every couple of years, to include basically everything we carry. We have to recertify in taser and mace. We have to certainly we go to the range 4 times a year or so, and we have to have instructors to do all that. Also, things like defensive tactics, hazardous materials, CPR, Narcan's another one, and we need to keep up with those recertifications. We need to keep up with that training. We also have our continuing education hours and training. So every police officer has to have 24 continuing ed hours. It was difficult over this previous year with COVID, but luckily we had some virtual options that satisfied that. Within the 24 hours of continuing education training, we have to have a minimum of 2 hours in certain categories. So it's not just that we have to take 24 hours of straight training. We have to have them in specific categories and such. So it's, and then above and beyond that, we try to do professional enhancement with all of our police officers. So it's difficult and challenging to do that on a limited budget. We are typically enrolled in both police academies, the Eastern Missouri Police Academy and the St. Louis County Police Academy. And we had to drop out of St. Louis counties when we cut this last budget. So does that cover it, George, or did you want to go over?
That's great.
I got a question for the chief. Hey,
Yes, sir.
Chief, how is the Pat Nolan and the dog coming along in training?
They're coming along fine. In fact, he arrived back today. He's got to do 2 weeks of training from here on out, but he will be with us. The dog will be with us, limited duty, I guess, and until Pat completes his training. But it's going really well. And at some point in time, I guess maybe when we get back into the council chambers, kind of like to bring him in and introduce him to everybody.
What's his name?
His name is Zeke.
Oh,
What?
Zeke.
Zeke. Oh.
And John, he's full German Shepherd too. That's what they recommended. So
Yeah.
He's
We'll,
great.
That's the only dog around. That's great. That's great.
yeah. They had options.
Tremendous. But
go ahead.
That's
So a lot
gonna
of
be
them are going with
tremendous
those. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
department when he's fully trained and on board. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a help for you guys.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, once we get maybe back in the boardroom, we'll bring him in and introduce him to everybody and such. But yeah, we're really excited. So,
Chief, is he going to be like full service? Is he going to be like a drug sniffing dog or a dog that you can send to chase down a perp?
Yep, all that.
All about
He's trained in all that, building searches. We'll be utilizing him for there's a lot of PR events and stuff that dog too, so we'll be utilizing him for that.
Makes him very popular.
Yep, we'll be able to track. We did not certify him in marijuana because of the medical marijuana, because of certain legalities and such. A lot of departments, what they'll do is the first dog they won't train them up in marijuana. If they get a second dog, they do. But with medical marijuana now, a lot of the legalities are tough to navigate. So
well, we can't wait to meet him.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
The uniform line item might look pretty extensive at almost $18,000, but we had a few officers leave us in the past year, and just the cost of outfitting a new officer, a new hire, is pretty significant when you add in the cost of the bulletproof vest, all the stuff that they wear, all the clothes we have to provide, and we'll be having a new hire here joining us in a couple weeks, a new officer. We'll be back to being fully staffed. Down to warning siren repair. This line item was zeroed out. They test those every spring, and the alarm siren or the warning sirens we have out here, every time they test them, that's when we discover all the issues, and we are responsible for paying for those. So that's really just a ballpark guess, looking at historical trends of what we'll need in that item. And then for weapons, we currently don't have any in reserve. So we really do need to look at replenishing that in case we do have an issue with the sidearm. $2,000 for body camera repairs. There's typically issues with those. And then finally, vehicles. Our schedule is typically 2 new vehicles in 1 year, then 3 vehicles the next. This is a 2-vehicle year. So $79,000 is the cost of purchasing those vehicles and outfitting them with all of the technology, getting them striped and everything. And then last, for the park departments, for their budget for this year, we really looked at a kind of a 6-month budget because we didn't know if we were going to be able to run programming in the spring. So I'm actually going to turn this over to Darren to kind of walk through what the programming options we'll be providing this spring are. And so there's an impact to both revenue and expenses.
Thanks, George. And I'm estimating about 90,000 in expenses to get us through the rest of the year. Like George said, a lot of that's going to be offset with revenue that we make from baseball, which we're projecting to be about 60,000. Most of the increase in cost is just looking at historically what we've used for utilities, making sure that we have enough to cover. Went through contracted services line and looked at some projects that were cut out but feel is important and would like to get them back in the budget if possible, such as mulching the city, laser leveling fields, some dumpster enclosures, some trees that need to be removed, and then just having some funds for general repairs that come up. For capital equipment, we had 15,000 budgeted for a new gator with a roll bar that would be helpful to have over at Deer Ridge Park. Put that back in the budget as a request. $10,000 for fireworks to the ambassadors. And then for programming, for the rest of programming, we're planning to run 2 concerts this fiscal year, a movie, Memorial Day, Arbor Day, and then baseball and weekend tournaments. The unknown right now for programming is still day camp. We're working with the school district right now to see if their facility is going to be available for us. Hopefully we have that answer within the next couple weeks. And that's pretty much it as far as programming goes. Some of the programming like our senior trips, we partner with Darden and Wentzville, and everybody's decided to pick those back up again in July. So that would be no cost to this fiscal year. That would all be in next fiscal year.
I have a quick question. What is a gator roll bar?
So the gator is just a utility vehicle that we use specifically over at Founders Park. We don't have any that have roll bars on them. So we have an older gator that we'd like to replace with a roll bar. So if it did flip over on one of the hills out of Deer Ridge, our staff would be protected.
Yeah, understand. Thank you.
Well, hopefully nobody steals this one.
Yeah, good point, Karen.
Gator.
I'll swap it out.
Darren did mention day camp, and that is something we'll probably need to talk to you guys at the next meeting about in the work session. But just to give you a primer on that, Wentzville School District has been offering a free day camp for children in the district for the past few years. And when you look at the enrollment in our day camp, you'll notice that it's dipped over these past few years. I think a lot of, we have competition now, so to speak, especially with a free product that's put on by the school district. So there's a couple things we're waiting on. We meet with the school district every year to go over contract for access to Green Tree Elementary. We're still waiting to see if they would even be willing to let us use that facility, or if they're looking at possible expansion plans for their day camp that they offer. And if that's the case, we need to make a decision as to whether we want to keep offering that service, look at different options, different parks that we could operate it out of. So that's something that we'll be talking to you in the future about. And then the last item was just the 2 transfers, the $700,000 to streets, and then the $100,000 to sick leave retirement. Anyone have any questions or concerns about everything as explained? Like I said, I can add the cost for
part-time
back.
Part-time employees, we restored some of the hours. and you talked about it a little bit, but I don't know if I got it all. How many part-time employees, like some of them were furloughed in March, cut hours. How many do we have that are still either furloughed or cut hours?
We have 2 receptionist positions. The one is currently working at reduced hours. The second position is vacant. Susie sought out full-time employment with St. Charles County Courts. And then in community development, we have a part-time code enforcement officer and a part-time building inspector. Over the past year, we've been able to cover inspections without any decrease in service, without bringing those employees back. So the thought was to keep those positions furloughed, and then for the budget discussion for the next fiscal year, we can talk about a solution for those employees or those positions of what we want to do with that.
Yeah, keep that in your tickler file, because then we need to talk about that. We don't want to, as the pandemic proceeds and maybe decreases hopefully over the year, we need to get these people back on board so we're fully staffed. Okay.
All right, I'll go ahead and prepare a budget adjustment for the next meeting for you all to review with those revisions made. That's all I have. Before general discussion, I just wanted to introduce Sarah. Sarah Belcher is the new Assistant City Administrator. Sarah, you want to say hi?
Hello, hi everyone. It's nice to meet all you, and thanks for. I'm excited to be here. I met everyone, a lot of new names, but everyone seems great, and I'm excited to get started. So, hello.
Sarah, where do you
Hi,
live?
Sarah. Glad to have you.
Thank you. I live in the St. Louis City.
City?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad though. We're going against traffic, and yeah, it's really not that bad.
Well, we'll have to stop in and say hello.
Yes, please do.
Today was your first day, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
It was an interesting
Try
day.
to get over there this week to meet you.
So, well,
Hey,
welcome.
George, while we're done with, I guess we're done with Sarah. Everybody said hello. Since you guys have already changed and everything, we need a new book. Our last City of Lake St. Louis directory is January 2019. So there's been some changes made. So, in the near future, we probably ought to get.
After the election.
After the election, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
after the election is fine, but yeah.
Yep.
Good luck, Sarah. Hopefully you do well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. And I heard a lot of good things about you. I went to the mayor's luncheon, city administrator's luncheon about a week and a half ago, and a lot of good things. People that knew you had a lot of good things to say. Just wanted to pass that on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We're really lucky to have you, so that's good to hear.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm excited to be here.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
No, I got something else.
You do have something. Never mind.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, what is it? Is it 5, Lewis? You're aware of this. I talked to you about it. Where's Lewis? Lewis there?
We lost him.
Oh,
There he is.
this is the property that Tommy was looking at, that we changed. Our original was 12 units per acre, and now the board removed it to 6 units per acre. And I'm not saying it's the wrong decision or anything. I'm just
Which one's this one?
No, huh? For that property next to
The daycare.
daycare.
Yeah.
And evidently, and Lewis, correct me if this isn't totally true. Evidently, when he started the project, it was it 5? I get confused in those things. What's it? R5? Is that what the property zoned at?
Yeah, so everyone knows what we're talking about, this is the property on Technology Drive, just east of the daycare, east of Ronald Reagan Drive on the north side of Tech Drive. When we, not sure exactly when they first reached out to us, but as part of the zoning code and development code update, the developer reached out to me, and we talked about, kind of what the potential would be for this site, looking at the proposed code. The site is proposed to be zoned R5. It's currently zoned commercial, highway commercial. So they started developing a townhome concept, which we met with them a few weeks ago to discuss. I think when we kind of had those initial conversations, the proposed code had a permitted density of, I believe it was 12 units per acre in R5. That was before we had the discussions with the board about multifamily, and we did the moratorium, and we made some revisions based on those discussions, and we ultimately reduced that down to 6 units per acre, which is what's permitted now, and that's only for the R5 district. So when we met with them, we talked it over, and we told them, if they wanted to exceed the maximum density, which is now 6 units per acre, or will be, or if they needed relief from any of the other setback requirements, they would likely have to do a planned unit development, which would be subject to approval by the board.
So I think Tom's gonna be asking, I don't know, setbacks. I looked at the setbacks. I don't know what they looked like. They were okay, 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And he also wanted to put in a private street, which we're not gonna, I mean, he can put in a private street, but we're not gonna, he's gonna be built to city standards. He didn't want to build it to city standards. But don't do that. I mean, make him build to city standards. And I'd recommend you have it as a public street, because all private streets do is causes problems.
Yep. Yeah, I got a complaint about one over in HHR. They didn't realize that they were private.
Happens all the time.
Oh, yes, we do know they're private.
Oh, this was somebody,
It shows it.
this was a new resident that,
Oh, a new resident. Well,
yeah. And I said, yeah, they're private.
So Tom is gonna.
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
If you wanted to reconsider that change, and I'm not saying right or wrong, that you ought to do it now so we can get the code done.
Right.
And I don't see any problem with it personally, but
I don't either.
I'm not gonna be here.
Is there a different zoning designation we could put it in? Like a
R5, just change it to 12. Just change it to allowable density, 12 units per acre.
Yeah.
I mean, 12, yeah, units per acre. I don't care. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
And I do have sympathy with the guy, because he started in this project and it was 12 units an acre, and then it went to 6 units an acre.
6 units, yes, and cut it in half. So severely limited him.
But that's up to you guys. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mike.
Anything else?
Move we adjourn.
Second.